Welcome back to Morning Joe, live shot of Washington, D.C., the clouds over the White House this morning. Here in the studio, we have the Democratic governor from New Jersey, Governor John Corzine, as well as Chuck Todd, who joins us live from Washington this morning. Good to have you both with us.
Let's start. Governor Corzine, timing is everything. Now it's not. Don't you wish you had decided to be governor when you were senator, then you could switch over and be senator? It's a tough time to be governor out there, isn't it?
It is a very tough time on our people.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a politician, I guess, but the fact is people are worried about whether they're going to have their jobs. They see their neighbors losing their homes. I don't feel sorry for myself the way I think you have to focus on what's going on.
Well, sure, but still, though, I mean, it's kind of hard. Not hard. It's very difficult to figure out what to do with a state like New Jersey when revenue coming in is dropping.
Unemployment
in a governor's position has to make tough choices about where you're going to cut. We have a $7 billion gap, which we've proposed a budget that's just full of choices that would be easy to criticize. We don't have the luxury of going into deficit spending, and you have to express what are your most important values, like education, which we're supporting, actually growing this year, even though we're cutting our budget.
Governor, I want to talk to you in just a moment and put on your hat as former chairman of Goldman Sachs about the bonuses. But first, let's bring Chuck in. Chuck filed a report for the Today Show about political donations, and you report 9 firms who received more than $1 billion in bailout money, handing out over $250,000 in PAC contributions. Chuck, tell us more about that.
Well, it's sort of an optics issue. You go through in the month of February. You had a bunch of the biggest firms who have been getting bailout money, from the financial guys like Citi and Bank of America to even the Chrysler, who of course is getting money out of the TARP in order to keep going. And they still are handing out PAC checks. Now, granted, most political action committees are supposed to be of the employees, but we know that when you look inside who gives to these PACs, it's the senior management and those folks. And it's just, you can't believe. I was talking to one former lawmaker who told me, I'm not sure who's dumber, the financial firm who's nervous about how their image right now handing out the checks, or the politician who sits there and goes on TV and rails against these bailouts, but then takes it. Particularly some politicians where, frankly, the $5,000 contribution actually, unfortunately, in our campaign finance system, possibly, whatever, isn't a lot of money, but they take it anyway, which makes it just look, everybody's hands are dirty in this.
Let's talk about the people that we've seen on TV the most. Of course, Barney Frank, Chris Dodd, some of the other members of the banking committee. Did they receive checks?
Well, some of them didn't, right? Barney Frank stopped doing it. He stopped taking money from TARP folks. Now, he was nervous about talking to us about it because he's like, well, I don't want to demonize it. And that was another thing, but a John Boehner and an Eric Cantor, they're both taking it still. Steny Hoyer, still taking it. Harry Reid and Richard Shelby got checks, but they returned it. So everybody is trying to come up with their own own way.
Anybody else on the banking committee that we see screaming at these banks every day?
We did. 11 of the 26 members of the House Financial Services Committee took money.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. These are the same people screaming and yelling to lynch these bankers, and they're taking their
11
money.
Of them. Almost half. Half.
Name some names from that banking committee, especially the ones who scream every day in self-righteous.
Well, I mean, there was, well, first of all, you had Earl Pomeroy. He was one of the guys up there that said some really rough things about AIG. He's taken money from some of these bailed out firms. So there's a whole slew of these guys, and you just sit there and you're like, what are you doing? I mean, this is just doesn't look right.
That's unbelievable.
And I talked to one fundraiser who said one of the reasons why look at Eric Cantor and John Boehner, who have been who said no more bailouts. Mike Pence, no more bailouts, and they're taking money. And I say, why are they doing it? They don't need it. They're in leadership. And the answer I got was from this fundraiser. He said to me, well, if they stop taking it, then Joe, the rank and file member of Congress, will be forced to stop taking, and you know what? They really need the money.
Well, you're talking about the Republicans. It's the Democrats who are in power and the Democrats who are being
and they're doing it too. I mean, Steny Hoyer, Steny Hoyer is doing it. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's bipartisan. This isn't one of these ways where you sit there. Jim Clyburn, he's taken a lot of money. Mel Watt, congressman, a Democratic congressman in North Carolina, who's on the bank financial services, he's taken a lot of money. So you're sitting there going, it just doesn't fit
It's
right. But Joe,
yeah,
I got a question for Governor Corzine. He was talking about revenue issues. There's a state senator in New Jersey, Governor, I think wants to sue the government. A law that had been passed about 20 years ago preventing other states from having sports gambling.
Yes.
And there is this attempt, I think, that New Jersey, and I know Delaware wants to do this, to open the door to having legalized sports gaming as another potential fix for your budget. Where do you stand on that,
First of all, it's a federal law that limits sports gambling to Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming, and Montana, I think, the 4 states. A lot of us who have gaming in our states think it would be supportive of the efforts we already have in place if we had gaming. Now, you're either going to have to get a law passed, which is highly unlikely through the Congress, because some of the states that have it probably wouldn't want to see the competition. Maybe Las Vegas.
You mean like Harry Reid?
Do the analysis. And the only way that you can go at challenging that, other than through a legislative fix, is probably through the courts, whether this law is constitutional. So a senator named Ray Lesniak is in court trying to sue. I think that's going to take a while. I don't think this is our budget fix. I think it's something, though, that in the long run would be supportive of the franchise that we have in a destination resort like
and by the way, Atlantic City is on the front page of the Scapes.
Yeah, it is.
Weekend from the New York Times.
This is where we want you to spend your weekends.
And
other days,
Willie, you need to go down to Atlantic City with your friends down there. Let me ask you.
I want to keep you in shape, too.
John, I need to be in shape, get in shape. Thank God New York wasn't able to pass the fat tax. I'd be broke. So tell me about, as a former chairman of Goldman Sachs, what do you think about all the self-righteous anger coming from these people on the Hill who you got it, buddy, shake down Governor all the time? Money. The people they yell at now, they're still, as Chuck reports, still taking money from.
Well, first of all, the perception on both sides of this are not good. They're not good for the bankers, and they're not good for the politicians. And, the whole system, which is one of the things that I think President Obama used in his campaign very effectively, has got to get squared away. And we've got to take some of the hypocrisy out of it by saying, A, I'm not going to take the money, and B, the other guy's got to say, we're not going to give the money, particularly under the circumstances that we live in today. Because perception is really, really important. The $165 million of bonuses AIG, which you can call out, quote unquote, outrageous. The fact is, the biggest problem is the compensation system. It's billions of dollars, and it is short-term oriented and isn't worked to the long-run creation of value for anybody, including shareholders, as we've seen with the deterioration in value in markets. The fact is, we've got to get changes in the underlying principles. Why guys want to fix their bathroom at high prices. It's not the issue that is destroying the financial institutions. Over leverage is. The lack of understanding of the complexity of the positions that people take on. So these things are just symptomatic of bigger problems.
Bigger issues,
and that's true of the campaign finance issue as well. And it's not everybody's innocent sitting around this table too. The charges to come on television to be able to communicate are unbelievably expensive. Like $50,000 for 30 seconds of communication.